one better. You want answers? We have them. Imagine that. Welcome to Hey Tony, welcome to Cosmic Blueprint. I mislabeled it outside the box tonight, but you know me. I'm just kind of that mutable float around, right?
So. Yeah, that's fine. Don't worry about it. We all know what info we bring on this show.
Yeah, it's Tony and the mouthy tranny era, time. So let's just get that all sorted out and have some fun. Tonight's going to be a lot of fun on a whole different truth level. Because you get to explore a whole lot deeper into yourself. We've had Jeanice on before, and it's always a pleasure to have Jeanice Barcelo on the air with us. Do you like Barcelo or Barcelo?
Well, I say Barcelo, but you can say whichever pleases you.
It's I got a lot of Italian friends, right? So I see a C in a name, I go Barcelo, Bonacci, that kind of thing. So it's just got such a crunch to it.
It's actually Spanish, like Barcelona.
Barcelona, yeah.
Yeah,
see?
Yeah.
Yeah, Italian and Spanish. I mean, they're beautiful intermingling Portuguese, Spanish, Italian, beautiful intermingling languages. It just it's almost like just a regional. Well, I'm going to say this word this way, but it still means the same thing. It's it's really cool. That's one of the things with Santo, especially. He speaks Portuguese, Spanish, and Italian. Go figure. What are the odds, right? And yeah, he'll even say it's like getting in from one language to the next. It's not that difficult. It's just a few nuances you have to keep in mind, and yeah, go with the flow, baby.
Well, I'll actually clarify that I am Italian. My birth name is Polini, but my first husband's name was Barcelo, and I never changed it. So.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, I'm a mutt.
Oh, aren't we all? We're all mutts of Gaia. It's a beautiful thing.
I'm glad to be here with you and with Tony. Is it just the three of us?
Yeah, just the three of us tonight. We do have one caller on the line. I'm going to bring them in shortly.
Wow.
And I got word from another a radio host friend of ours today, Diane. I just passed over the contact. You know what? You want something done, give it to a Gemini. Honestly, floating everywhere. So it's Diana White. I gave you the contact for. Yeah, she just interviewed Santo the other night. Beautiful soul and right up your alley as far as the kind of information you want to share on a very deep spiritual level. And manifesting, there's nothing more manifesting than giving birth. It's kind of the way it works,
Well, there's nothing more powerful, than being a vessel through which another life is going to come into this dimension. I mean, it's been totally not understood or perceived as something sacred. Most people are approaching pregnancy and birth pretty haphazardly. Certainly conception is often an accident, and so the birth of a child is often complicated and painful, and the reason there's so much pain in childbirth is basically because of the psychological approach that the parents are taking toward the creation of life. And most parents don't really give it a second thought. Once they're pregnant, the mother might be trying to eat better and do things to prepare her physical body, but there's no spiritual preparation. There's no understanding of the psychic dynamics of what's going on during conception and gestation and at birth, or how these very, very early memories influence the rest of our lives. And so our culture has just not paid any attention to the first 9 months leading up to the birth. And that's incredible to me, because the first 9 months in the womb are the period during which we are learning the most. It's where we're receiving the most information about the world we're about to enter into. And we're developing our bodies in relationship with the information we're receiving about that world that we're about to enter into. So.
Oh, exactly. And I do want to mention this numerous times tonight, because you have a webinar upcoming on April 11th that people can attend to get a lot more information over a longer time span, especially for those that are in the cycle of deciding to have a child, not ready, and thinking about it and what have you. So I do want to get that information out at least 3 or 4 times during the course of this, because I get a lot of emails and Facebook texts, and I miss that information. Could you? And I will. I'll share it anyway. But The thing is, the more we can get this information out while you're actually discussing this tonight, will give people a better understanding of why they need the webinar and why it would work so much better to go, one-on-one over a longer period of time with you. There's a lot more direct interaction than you can get on a 2-hour radio platform. Yes, we get the word out, but the webinar, and actually I'll get Tony to talk a little bit about what we're doing in regards to the webinars for those that are interested in doing them, to discuss that. But I do want to bring that up. You have a webinar starting on April 11th.
Yeah. Thank you, Kate, because it's going to be a 2-part webinar. So on April 11th and April 18th, they're going to be 90 minutes each, and we're going to be going deep into information about human sexuality and human love and human relationships. And we're going to, look at that in the context of our culture, of our beliefs about masculine and feminine and how this is influencing how we're relating with each other. And we're also going to talk, in some depth about how we're making babies, which is basically based on how we're having sex and the consciousness that we're bringing to our sexual interactions. So it's going to be a deep journey. I hope people will join us. It's totally free, which is amazing. So you're going to get 3 hours of material at no cost, and in my opinion, it's the most important information we can share, especially with young people who haven't created babies yet. They can really benefit from the information I'm going to share. So I hope. Where can they find this information on the site? Well,
that's where Tony comes in, and we'll be sharing all of that information. Also, please, everyone, you can contact me directly. I do take, if there is any pride in me, I take pride in being the most accessible individual on the air you will meet, and I make a point of that. So contact me on Facebook if you want, kate.rene.5, kate.rene.5, and of course Skype, katie.rene.thompson, katie.renee.thompson. I would give up my email, but I tell you, that's the third line of information I go to because it's so very slow. I like doing stuff in real time. Call me mutable. And also I will get Jeanice to give out her contact information as well. But Tony, if you can, just share a little bit of information about the webinar, what we're doing through Syncrenicity.com, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, this is the first in the series of free webinars that we're trying to get out there for people. Number one, they can get a bit of exposure about what it is they can bring to our consciousnesses, because it's all about what you learn, whether you bother to learn it in the first place, and what it actually is. And obviously, there's lots of different wonderful people out there with lots of different information. And Jeanice is a perfect example of somebody that's got some incredibly valuable information that people should really have. Some in-depth, detailed stuff that you practically can't get anywhere else. And this is, as I say, the first in a series. So what we're doing is trying to encourage excellent guests and excellent speakers with this kind of information to come onto Syncrenicity.com, and that's Synchronicity with an E, and basically sign up to try and do some free webinars, and we'll walk you through it step by step. There's a lot more to it, really. Jeanice and I have both found out there's a lot more to do than people think. I didn't realise it was going to be this complicated either, but there's actual, what's the word I'm looking for, PowerPoint presentations that come onto your screen. You can interact with the person that's actually giving the webinar or the lecture /seminar /informative class. And, there's lots of different interactive tools that go along with a webinar that all get operated at the same time. But it's basically like going into a computer classroom where you can see into the class and you can look at the slides and interact with the teacher, and there can be up to 1,000 of you at a time. So there's loads of room there for students, let's call them, or people who are interested in this information, to come in and look at the information. So that's in a nutshell what's going on, and we've been working really hard on the site since we got hacked and they managed to muck it up. But we're going flat out as fast as we can to get it back up and running. And I want to send out tonight, I've found over 200, well, nearly 300 personal messages that have been sent to me of people sending personal contacts. So I wanted to say thank you to everybody. Sorry that I haven't got back to everybody. There's so much going on, it's head spinning. But we're doing our best at Syncrenicity, and thanks for bearing with us, and we'll get this ball rolling. But yeah, it's all good stuff, and it's all about getting the information over to you, the people who need to know these things. So with that, I'll just sit back for a moment. Carry on.
Our wall, Tony, or to my wall on Facebook, that they will find a link to register for the two series of webinars, the two webinars that I'm going to be doing on April 11th and April 18th. I'm not sure if there's somewhere on the Syncrenicity site that they can register. Do you know that?
Yeah, we're doing that at the moment, Jeanice. I've literally just got control of the site again because they damaged all the files that was actually in the site itself, so we couldn't repair it.
Oh my God!
Oh yeah, we were hacked pretty hardcore, and getting the team together was work unto itself. So that's a problem when you're truth speakers. You attract all manner of fun people. I did want to let the caller know that their line is open, area code 661. Just wanted to see if there's any questions or comments, because you've been on before, Jeanice, so I'm just wondering if it might be someone that heard the last show with you. Area code 661? Might just be listening. Okay, must just be listening. All right, so carry on.
Maybe they're waiting for the moment to come in and actually say something. I just want to really, I have to say that I've had I have a whole curriculum. I used to teach college. I used to teach at Stony Brook in New York, so I'm very, very competent in terms of creating 20-week curriculums, like you would be doing a semester-long course. And so I have this incredible curriculum, and I tried to get it into all the schools on Maui, and none of the schools would receive the curriculum. And I realized how much resistance there is, especially amongst the adult community, to really educating young people about, beyond teaching them how to use a condom and encouraging them, to have sex outside of love, because there's never a conversation about love. As far as I know, there's never a conversation about how to have a healthy relationship with young, you don't find that in sex education classes in high school. So basically they're giving these kids condoms and encouraging them to have sex. And what I'm seeing is that they're encouraging the young people to behave in the same way that they did. You see, to carry on inflicting trauma on their kids, to carry on conceiving their children haphazardly and gestating them in wombs where they're not wanted and birthing them in the most horrifically violent setting imaginable, otherwise called hospitals. And so rather than shine the light on the shadow, and help the young people break out of that pattern and break free from this lineage of abuse, the adults who are controlling the information for these kids refuse to let them have anything that's of any real value, which I find enraging. I had one school on Maui that very expensive private school, like it's big bucks to send your kid there, and this lady said to me, "Well, we don't think that your curriculum matches our mission." I said to her, "Well, can you tell me what your mission is?" She said, "Well, we are, prepping these kids to go to college. We want them to get into college, and we don't want to be talking to them about sex and making babies." And I said, "Well, they're going to be having sex, and they're going to be making babies. Isn't it better to have the conversation?" Apparently not. Apparently it's better to do everything that they can to turn the young people into drones, and into fodder for the machine. Just go. Go to college. Show the future employers that you're trainable and that your mind is easily formed into the way we want you to be. But whatever it is, we don't want you to get any real information about the most important thing. What is the most important thing in the whole world? I would think
getting a big paycheck, Jeanice.
I would think it's human love. I would think that everybody at their core is seeking love and the fulfillment of human love. And maybe we would like to learn, a few keys to preserving love in families instead of watching, people get together, and if there actually is ever love there, watching it break down over time. See, there's things that we can be doing to preserve love. And, a big piece of this is getting a handle on what we're doing sexually. And so I don't think that there's anything more important than that. I don't think any amount of money is going to provide for us the sense of well-being and security and peace that we would receive if we were in partnerships that supported us and that helped us feel safe and that helped us feel nurtured and nourished and, comforted. Relationships are incredibly important for human well-being. And it's interesting, isn't it, that they teach you a bunch of crap in schools that really has no basis on your future happiness. I'm right now homeschooling a 6-year-old, and I am sickened by the information that I have to teach this child, right? Because I realize that as I'm teaching him, today there was a lesson about eating a cheeseburger, seriously, and how the cheeseburger is going to be broken down into chemicals that can feed the body or nourish the body, when the absolute truth is eating a dead animal is going to deaden your senses, is going to create a system of death in your body that's going to eventually lead to disease. And it's this dis-ease is also going to be in your consciousness as well as your physical body. See, that conversation's not happening.
Well, as soon as you said cheeseburger, I knew exactly where you were going. And honestly, it's even, homeschooling lessons like this that, it's not good enough that they have us, sending our kids to their indoctrination centers. But those that choose to do it the right way and spend time with the children one-on-one to teach them, and they're still using it, it's sickening. It really is. And it's so right. You've probably heard some of the stuff from Karen Ann McDonald. She's been on a couple of times regarding exactly what you said about the consciousness and food getting trapped inside, for years inside your intestines. And those are all linked up to, parts of your intestine represent parts of, your organs and chakras. And this is why so many of us are so absolutely poisoned. So yeah, I can tell your frustration and totally understand it.
I mean, it's actually, I feel horrified by the things that we are expected to shove down the throats of young people, actually preventing them from communicating with the divine mind and understanding the truth. This is, there's a series of books called the Anastasia books, okay? And if people are interested, I highly recommend these books. I don't think there's any books out there that are more important for our species to get a hold of and to read and to process and to integrate into our lives. So go to Ringing Like a Bell, Cedars Like a Tree, ringingcedars.com. Check out those books, okay? But there's a scene in the books where a 10-year-old boy, Anastasia's son, okay, who's been raised in the natural world. Okay, there's nothing artificial. There's no interference with this kid in terms of his ability to communicate with the divine mind. All right, and his father is part of our world. So his father thinks that he's very clever, and one day he brings a calculator to his son, who lives in the Siberian forest, and he's going to demonstrate to his son how great the technological world is, and look at these amazing advances that we can just put numbers on a calculator and get these answers, okay? So here's Vladimir with his son, with his 10-year-old son, pulls out the calculator, types in a 6-digit number, multiplied by a 6-digit number, and his son spits out the answer before the calculator. All right, so Vladimir does it again, pumps in this really, really long number, multiplied by a really, really long number, and his son says the answer before the calculator can. And he's wondering, how do you do that? And his son says to him, well, these numbers, are so simple. They only exist like this in a dead universe. And his father says to him, what are you talking about in a dead universe? 1 plus 1 always equals 2. It doesn't matter which universe you're in. Okay, 1 plus 1 equals 2. And his son says to him, no, Dad. If you look at Mom, that's 1. And then there's you, that's 2. But 1 plus 1 made me, that's 3. So in a living universe, 1 plus 1 equals 3, or 4, or 5, or 6, or however many children this 1 plus 1 decides to have. You see, and in a living universe, you have one tree that produces a gazillion pine cones that contain hundreds of possible trees on which to build a future. You see, and that is the essence of the mathematics of creation, for which our children have no connection, not the least of which is because they're being spoon-fed a bunch of garbage about 1 plus 1 equals 2 in order to restrict their thinking into this box that's based on a dead universe.
Absolutely.
You guys get what I'm saying?
We preach this all the time. Absolutely.
You're preaching this?
Yeah, absolutely. This is about singular intention to exponential creation, hon.
Well, it's about also, lifting the veil on the education system and having everybody take a peek inside and see what we're doing to our children and see how we are squeezing them into this box that's going to limit their consciousness. It's like if here's an interesting thought, okay? We have this understanding of astrology, right? Santos is super into astrology. But what if our understanding of these constellations and the names of the stars and the planets and all of this stuff, and what if our understanding has been created by by some people, some entities that don't really want us to understand the full truth? Okay, so if we left our kids outside, all right, not in a house, not surrounded by walls and windows and separated from creation, all right, but in creation, where the sounds of the natural world are, the smells are, where all of God's information is, okay, if they spend time outside, let's say the first 9 years of their life, looking up at the sky, they might have a totally different understanding.
Well, again, yeah, absolutely. We talk about this fairly regular. I speak about it from the perspective of don't look outside for answers. You're not going to find them. The only answers you're going to find are within. And the only thing the physical universe is, regardless of its how you look at it, I mean, truths are so layered within so many layers. Those are only the clues. The true resonance you're going to find is of course going to be within. And some people, we all think differently, so we can all look at the same thing in an entirely different concept from it. And that's why I stress, don't get caught in the illusion. Find the tool within it as far as the clue that you need, individually, that you need. So this is where you become part of singularity and the collective at the same time. A very difficult concept to try to convey to people, but the fact is there is no right or wrong. There is no up or down. They're just degrees of separation in between. So again, and you're right about putting a child outside. Yeah, what that child will get will, without any external teaching whatsoever, will be a completely different interpretation of someone that maybe has a little bit to someone who has been exposed to a lot, depending, and you're right, as far as principalities, wanting to manipulate something, wanting to, control minds and what have you. The simple truth is, when I see things like, especially astrology, that have been hidden from us for millennia, the first question I have is, okay, well, why were they hiding it?
Exactly.
So there must be something to it. So,
yep.
Yeah, again, it's all about interpretation, individual interpretation. So, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, she makes a just one quick point. I think Tony wants to say something. She makes a point in the books that we have this idea about astrology that we pay attention to what's going on in the stars and with the planets, and that'll tell us about what's going to happen here, as if what's going on in the stars and with the planets actually has an influence or power over our lives, when in reality we are the ones that are controlling what's going on in the sky. And so the sky,
you just actually backed up everything I just said there. As above, so below.
Yes.
What she's talking about is, yes, of course, what happens with us happens without, and what happens without is the clue to what is going on within. So you have to make both of these concepts together, otherwise you actually separate from creation. And our whole game here, as I see it, for me anyway, is to become part of that singularity and individuality all at the same time. This is pure Hermeticism. It's as pure as it gets.
Absolutely.
Did you want to say something, Tony?
Yeah, I was just saying it. There's quite a few different pieces of information I can draw on which will relate to that. There was a lot of, there were some Russian experiments that were done that took 40 children, and they literally allowed them to go feral. They walled off this large area and put these 40 children in. And the experiments that were observed with these children growing up were just absolutely unbelievable. And if people want to find out some more information on that, look up Children of Winter and do some studying in that area. There's one area of interest. There's also German studies done where they were taking lots of, they took, I can't remember exactly how many it was, but something like 30 old age pensioners, and they basically, what's the word I'm looking for, exposed them to newspapers, TV reports, radio reports, and all that from when they were about 30. And diseases started reversing, the aging process started to retreat. They were giving them clean food, clean water, and this sort of thing, and they actually started to reverse age. So there's aspects of our abilities. I mean, DNA, we've got 97 or something % of our DNA turned off. Why is it turned off? Who turned it off? You know what I'm saying? So we're all talking the same stuff. It's what we've forgotten. It's not, it's what we need to relearn, that we've been the information has been hidden from us and we've been indoctrinated. And, we need to get back to the true information of who we really are. Where do we come from? How do we get here? Who's been mucking around with the genes and all the rest of it? And what the heck is really going on? So yes, we're all talking about the same stuff, Janice. It's just different layers of the onion, that's all. But we chop the onion in half and count the layers and say, right, look, there's one in the middle. But it's good.
I mean, it would be so fun if we take the children in our world, and let's say we are laying on the beach one night with them, looking up at the stars, and we don't say, oh, look, that's the Big Dipper, or oh, there's Venus in the night sky, but let them tell us, what it is, and what they're seeing and what their understanding is, because chances are we would learn so much. You know, you're right, Tony, because we are genetically altered. There's no question our species has been interfered with and continues to be interfered with. I think I spoke about this the last time I was on the show, and I'm sure you folks are talking about it too. But with the vaccines and the GMO foods and the mercury in our dental fillings and our light bulbs and the fluoride in our drinking water and the radiation pouring into our atmosphere and the chemtrails being dumped on us and the HAARP frequencies being, on and on and on. Yep. We are under attack.
Absolutely. It's
relentless. We are under assault, and our genetics are disrupted. Our nervous system is altered. The signals going to our brain are not functioning properly. Our brain... we use a very small portion of our brain potential. We are mutant. So even though information has been hidden, there's no way this information could be hidden if we were genetically intact, because we would have access to it.
Exactly. That's the point. We talk about the consciousness field and how we should all be tapping into that consciousness field that you talked about. That's why I wrote the book, Blueprints of Cosmic Consciousness, because it ties all these pieces in together, and it's going, look, this is what's really going on. Now you're conscious of it. When you finish the book, you're like, holy cow. But anyway, that's the point. And we see this in physicality as well. There's a black hole at the center of the sun, and there's a black hole at the center of every atom in your body. You know what I mean? And it goes into what's the word I'm looking for? Subatomic particles.
Subatomic.
Well. Yeah,
absolutely.
It says above, so below.
Going quantum.
We're black holes. This thing is incredible. We're quantum, interdimensional creatures with incredible power, the power of gods. But this is why they turned the DNA off and tried to bury us under this heap of utter crap. To keep us blinded from the fact of who we really are and what we can really do. So we expose this all the time.
Yeah, and so one of my big things is, let's create children who are intact, who have their pristine capacities intact. And if you want to understand, Tony, before I say this again, can you tell me the name of that book you mentioned where the kids you said were allowed to be feral? I like the way you said that.
They were literally allowed to grow up in this compound. It's called The Children of Winter. Okay. Children of Winter. Okay. Yeah, I'll try and find a link.
So what I want to say is, in the Anastasia books, you will get, people that read these books get a real sense of what a pristine human is capable of. This woman can dematerialize her body and materialize it somewhere else, even on another planet. All right. When she is trying to communicate to Vladimir, holograms appear in space, and he can see the visions that she's having in her mind. They actually appear before him, and it's like he becomes one with the scene. So she can access every single language. And she's never, of course, ever needed to pick up a book. When you see how ridiculous books are compared to the amount of information that this woman and her 10-year-old child have, it makes us look like a sorry species indeed. And it was so clear to me from the books what the Creator actually intended for us, and just how far removed and how wounded we are and how damaged we are because we are so disconnected, from all of this, all of our essence, basically.
Well, that's why we're doing what we're doing, and much of what you just said, I treat in a very past tense now, in that upon the realization of there being something of a, quote, problem, unquote, that to me is, I don't see problems, I see solutions in the making. And only when we become aware, and this is why we do this every night of the week, and I know the work that you do, Jeanice, is critical information for people to start those on the path of healing, where many of us are way down that path with epiphany after epiphany, understandings, realizations, and speaking with those on the same path, and cross-referencing our information and going, wow, that resonates, and truth is a resonant frequency, and this is what's happening now, especially over the last couple of years. I have watched an incredible exponential growth in people in general. Even I'll tell you, it took me almost a year to get to 1,000 friends on Facebook, and it's taken me less than a month to get 500. Literally in the last month, 500 more have showed up. This is constantly happening, and the messages I'm getting from people are like, wow, and we're all on the same page. Not even that, we're all in the same paragraph, on the same line, looking at the same word now, and we're all reading this book together. And you're right, the information that is finally coming out is critical, and we are, if you want to put it in a generic sense, we are the crutches, and those crutches are finally getting pushed to the wayside for some of us. Here's the thing, we're not going to play the bad Samaritans and go, hey, thanks, and run off. No, we're playing the good Samaritans and standing and waiting and saying thank you for all the lessons we've learned, and now we're helping our brothers and sisters to their feet where they're willing, only where they're willing. I will not trespass on someone's free choice to not stand, and that's okay too. I love them just as much. So this is why we do what we do, and why the information you have is so critical, because it starts at birth. As we discussed on the last program, and I'm going to reach out to everyone that's listening right now that is even in the stages of thinking of having children or what have you. A lot of things that I learned on the last show that Jeanice was here, I was in tears most of the show, because there were things that I wish I had known prior to, and I'm grateful that I knew as much as I did, but there were still some things there, like cutting my daughter's umbilical cords, and I was thinking that I was involved, and yeah, I was involved, but not in the way I thought. So, I was, like I told you last time, I'm one of the lucky ones. I was born in a house. I remember the day I was born, and it wasn't for me a traumatic experience as much as it has been for so many other children coming into the world in a sterile hospital environment, clinical with shiny, sharp things and what have you. And that's where we really need to get into to help educate. And I want the new to be parents, or the ones thinking about being parents, to put your ears to your computer right now and consider getting into the webinars on the 11th and the 18th. Get educated now so that you don't have to look back and go, I would have done that different.
Yeah, I mean, what's going on in birth, let me say that it starts before birth, because we have got to start as a culture paying attention to the energies leading up to the birth, because there's 9 months of learning prior to the birth experience itself. And then the overwhelming majority of people are being born in hospitals. And hospitals are engaged in activities that are extremely harmful to babies, to parents, and to the family unit in general. Because all of the interventions, all of the technological interventions, have the effect of undermining the potential for human love to happen at birth. And so, in its natural context, birth would be the fulfillment and the ecstasy, of love. That's really what the birth of a child is. It's the culmination of two people who love each other. I mean, this is the ideal situation. It's usually not like this, but the ideal situation is that this is the culmination of all of our love, and all of our conscious intention to bring forth life, and to bring forth life in the image of the Creator, the way the Creator intended for our species to be. And it should be extremely blissful and filled with love. I mean, just when a parent makes eye contact with their newborn child, there's a biological, physiological event that can happen through the eye contact that triggers the brain to make the neurochemicals of love. And this experience of love can be so profound and so immense that it has the potential to hold that family together forever. You see, but when it's interfered with, when we are, injected with medicines, chemicals that undermine the production of oxytocin, for example, which, I think it's like 85% of hospital births, mothers are given a drug called pitocin, oxytocin. And when a mother's injected, it means that her brain will, be much less likely to produce natural.
Okay, so I take it you can still hear me, guys? Just give us a nod in the chat room there if you would do. They're obviously loving what we've got to tell you tonight, and that's wonderful. Okay. Yeah, people who follow the show know occasionally we get bumped off with the signal, etc. I just didn't know whether it was me at this end or Janice and Kate at that end. But no, this does happen. Truth hurts, simply. We're exposing what's been done to us. Jeanice has got some incredible information to bring forward, of course. And obviously, what we're trying to do in the long and the short of it is say, this is what's gone wrong, this is what they've been hiding, this is how you need to do it, this is what you need to know, etc., etc., etc. And we're trying to be as honest and upfront about it as we can be. We're about remaining in honour and telling you the way it is and what's going on with it and trying to get you the best information we can get you. So that's why they damaged the website. That's why they've wiped out Kate's signal there and Jeanice. So there you go. Life's a bitch, but we just got to get on with it. Let's get the information out there. Some of the additional stuff that I can add to what Jeanice was saying, which obviously Kate will bring her back on shortly, hopefully, is that we need to know about the best vitamins, minerals, nutrients, supplements, electrolytes that need to go into the body, the diet, the meat, what's in the meat, the GMOs, the way they've injected all the animals, etc. All of this antibiotics that we shouldn't have, really, because it's wiping out our gut flora. And obviously it's our gut flora that, actually dissects the food that we're eating and allows our immune system to absorb the proteins and enzymes within there. So, it's a massive load of information. Jeanice brings this particular aspect, but it's not limiting to that aspect, so there are many more, and it sounds like we've got the guys back again. Hello?
Yeah, we're back. Yeah, we got knocked off the board here. I'm just bringing Jeanice back in. There she is. There we go.
Here I am. Hello.
Beautiful. I was just explaining that they don't like everybody out there in internet land getting the truth, and that's why they do these things. But it's all good. You're back.
We just keep going ahead, don't we? We're not going to let them stop us.
Totally.
So let me go on with this information about pitocin, because, as I was saying, it is artificial oxytocin, and when a mother is injected with it, it's going to trick the mother's brain, you see, so the mother is going to be much less likely to produce the real thing. And if she's not producing the real thing, or if she's only producing a little of the real thing, it's going to undermine her ability to love her baby and to bond with her baby and even to breastfeed her baby. And this is freaking huge. Okay? If you can create a drug that you know is going to undermine human love, this is a beautiful thing, you see, for those who want to mutate and alter the human race and who understand that human love is an absolute key to us experiencing the fullness of who we are, in the sense that the way the Creator intended us to experience life. Well, we have just this amazing doorway into mutating a human being by preventing them from experiencing love. And if the mother is not producing oxytocin, the baby's brain is also going to be altered. You see, and the baby may have a difficult time producing oxytocin throughout its life. Isn't that amazing?
Yep, that's why they say get them when they're young, because that's exactly what they're doing. It's incredible. The mother's diet, everything.
Sad. It's incredibly sad. If you think about the condition of our species and the fact that so many of us are having a very hard time accessing authentic experiences of human love. You know, many of us are in relationships and we secretly think that we're with the wrong person. You know, and we keep our radar open all the time looking for the one that is the right person that will allow us to experience the fullness of who we are, which actually comes through the experiences of human love. You know, but I would venture to say that I don't know what the percentages of people that may have never experienced love in their whole life. And it's very different than sex. You know, sexual pleasure is fleeting. And it's incomplete. Okay, it's not at all the same as the neurobiology of love, which is also quite physiological. When your system, when you look in the eyes of your baby or in the eyes of someone that really loves you, okay, there's an experience that happens physiologically that provides for a sense of extreme well-being. I mean, it's these words are so limited to express what human love feels like, and it does not feel like sexual pleasure. It's something else entirely, and it's much bigger and much more expansive than any orgasm. And it's much more permanent. Because you're never ever going to, it can never be negated. You know, orgasms come and go. We might have some memory of a great sexual experience we had. You know, that could have been followed by weeks and months of emotional pain. I always like to say that because I experienced that. Very different than the experience of human love. And I would venture to say that a huge proportion of the human population, having been born in hospitals and having been subjected to protocols that involve the use of mind-altering, chemical-bending drugs, that their brains are not functioning properly. I mean, this is absolutely a fact, that our brains are not functioning properly, and we are having a hard time accessing human love. And to me, that's the saddest state of affairs possible, because nothing can be more important. Nothing could bring us more joy and more, fulfillment and happiness to be alive than human love. And if we're all crying out for it, all wondering what's wrong, you know, why can't I manifest it? Why can't I create it? Why am I having so much pain in my relationships? I mean, the reasons are many, but what's happened to us at birth is critically important. And what's happened to us during conception, you know, based on the relationship of our parents, you see, because the information about what especially our fathers, you know, what our father is thinking and feeling at the time that he has a release and creates us, that information is in his sperm. And so how he's thinking about our mother is very important to how we are going to experience love throughout life. You know, I'll share with you, I don't know if I shared this on the last show with you guys, but personally speaking, I am created by teenagers who were having sex. For whatever reason, teenagers have sex. They were at a drive-in movie theater. There wasn't love there. There was probably a good deal of lust and a good deal of, impulsive behavior, the way teenagers behave, or maybe my mother was thinking she might get him to love her, and maybe he was thinking he could score some points, with his masculine peers if he got with her. Okay, but authentic human love was not present at my conception.
Are you still there? Okay, that's the second time. Some really moving information there from Jeanice. I'm sure you'll all appreciate that. Yeah, incredible stuff. I don't really want to go into much more detail, but one of the things that Jeanice has told us before in the past, this is going to sound really crazy, and it did when she first came on the air, but she could remember being, basically an embryo, she could remember being a cell in her mother, and she had to find a place in the womb that would accept the bond, otherwise she was going to get flushed out. I've got to be honest, I don't really know any other words to do this, and this it's not the sort of stuff that I usually talk about, but there you go. But yeah, and she described all about how that she had to accept the sperm as an egg and choose from, the sperms. I mean, it's a truly incredible journey that Jeanice is going to take you on. Also, there was a certain time that she can remember where she had to move from one place of the womb to another, and it was basically a journey that she had to go on to find somewhere else that would accept her in the womb, where she could bind to the wall and basically finish off her gestation, I suppose is the right word. So some incredible information Jeanice has got to bring. And I mean, just incredible is the only word I can possibly think of, because, it's just amazing, But anyway, I've spoken to Jeanice quite a lot about what she's going to be doing, how she's going to be doing it, and the actual the webinar program, how it's going to be presented, and the information that she's going to give you is absolutely incredible. It really is. There's too much to explain here, but if anybody out there is thinking of having children, or thinking of going into, I don't know, anything from midwifery to understanding a bit more about who they are and how they, what happened with them, or if they know somebody who's actually going to give birth, or thinking of having a baby, or any of these things. If you're looking to go into the professions of holistic birth, or holistic therapy, or education, or nutrition, pre-pregnancy. I mean, this is vital stuff.
We're back.
Excellent. And we're going to bring in nutritionalists as well to give you information of exactly what you need. So we've just got some incredible people with some incredible information. And Jeanice, as you can hear yourselves, is just truly amazing.
And we were talking about...
I remember.
Okay, and just so you know, sit tight. This happens all the time, so I just go through the motions to get everyone back in. So just sit tight, and don't worry, I'll get you back.
You rock, Kate.
There you go. Okay, no worries, we got this. I love you.
So I love you too. Hey, what I was saying is that most of the children being conceived right now are side effect of people's fleshy indulgence, and it is consciousness that we're bringing to this in terms of a desire to create life. It's really a desire to have a physically satisfying experience, but because we are using our life force, which in essence is our life-creating potential, life comes, even when we don't want it. And unfortunately for those of us who are, who are a side effect of people's fleshly indulgence and who are gestated in wombs where we're not wanted, there's just a tremendous amount of suffering that can go on throughout life because of this. I mean, I can't begin to tell you that I'm going to be 55 in September, and I'm still experiencing, over and over again in my living situation, feeling not wanted where I live. Feeling, some people might consider me a parasite because I often have financial problems, which are also rooted in gestation, in not having my needs met in gestation, creates a sense of lack that permeates every cell of my being and that then influences the way that I create reality. You see, so I am still, even as conscious as I am, as much healing work as I've done in terms of healing my prenatal trauma and my birth trauma, there are still pieces that have not reached resolution. I haven't been able to resolve certain pieces, and so I still relive them because this is the nature of trauma. When we have memories, especially pre-verbal memories, that have impressed themselves in our cells, this is imprinting that goes on. These memories are impressed into our organs. They're impressed into every cell of our being through sensation. You see, we often recreate the circumstances of our early wounding because we're trying to get to the happy ending. We're trying, I'm creating this difficulty with housing all the time and with feeling like I'm not wanted wherever I go, because eventually I'm hoping I'll end up somewhere where I can shift that pattern and where the person who didn't want me suddenly does want me and sees the value of having me there. Ideally my mother, because my mother's the one, I'm sure my father also, but since I was forming in my mother's neurochemical soup, literally my body is forming in her emotional experience. All right, that information becomes part of the makeup of my body. And these bodies, are very busy creating reality and trying to work out the trauma in order to bring the system back to love. We're always recreating trauma, not because we want to hurt ourselves, not because we're masochistic, but because we are sincerely trying to return the system to love. We're trying to work it out. And our lives would be so much easier and more fulfilling in terms of being met in love if our parents took responsibility in terms of how they're creating life and in terms of the consciousness that they're bringing to their sexual activity. Do you follow what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, what you were saying there, I found myself drifting off and remembering looking into each of my daughter's eyes as soon as they got here and telling them that they were okay, that they're safe where they are, and thanks for showing up, and everything's fine, and just doing that, taking that instant right at birth to connect with them. And I was, as I told you last time, I was very conscious of this process and in terms of the new life and wanting that spirit, energy, life force, consciousness that was coming in. I wanted them to know that they showed up for a reason, and I knew that they did, and I just wanted them to make sure they were safe. And the only thing I ever wanted in my whole life was 2 daughters, and that's exactly what I got. And I can't even begin to describe just that feeling all by itself. And I mean, all the things that we talked about last time that impinged on me is I wish I'd have done something different. to also being far outweighed by the things that I'm glad that I was aware of doing when I was doing it, because inherently that is the true nurturing aspect within us to connect. And this is what I feel you bring to the table, is that nurturing connectivity. And it's like, even when people, everyone that contacts me, Facebook or otherwise, I respond to, because I genuinely know that there was intent behind, reaching out to connect. And if I at any point were to shun that in any way, shape, or form, that discredits that beautiful intent, which is, regardless of what people want to define it, when you're reaching out to connect to someone at any level, that is an act of love. That is an unconditional reaching out. It's like holding your hand out for a handshake, with the understanding that potentially the one that you're reaching to will deny that. And I never want to be guilty, willfully guilty, and knowing, if I've missed someone, it's not because there was no intention to not get back to someone, but I'm scouring everything all the time. And that, to me, is the same connectivity I had with my daughters. This is how much, and this might sound hokey to people, but this is exactly where I live. And this is exactly how I've walked my life, and why I've looked at this place as being such a messed up, going, you guys, what's going on here? You're missing the whole point of this. But now they're not. And there are so many, and I know people listening right now have walked this and had exactly the same thoughts, wondering, why are people doing that? I get it. This is the gathering of angels, guys. The wings are not just grown, they are spread wide. And I'm watching so many fly, and it's just, it is joyous. And every day I witness a new birth. And that's how I treat it. A friendship or a child or anything of that, anything involving an outreach and love on any level, to me, is a birth. That is creation. And that's what we're doing now. For me, that's been the consciousness shift.
Wow. That is so beautiful. That is so beautiful. Because it is. I mean, the first connection that somebody makes, or tries to make, is really important, And so it's always good to try to meet somebody early on. In the ideal scenario, we're making this connection, we're doing the bonding with our children before we even conceive them. In the ultimate setting, the parents have decided what kind of child they want to create, or what kind of child they want to parent and be the vessel for to come through. And so they can begin the bonding process before they even bring their bodies together to create that life in the physical, you see. And then all through gestation, the bonding happens. The baby needs to be seen. The baby needs to be welcomed. The baby needs to be recognized as valuable, and to, have parents that are trying to make communication with it and trying to make the baby safe and comfortable and, feeling good and welcome and all that stuff. All of these things are basic, but most of us don't have them or didn't have them. Yeah, and basically, excuse me, I have to clear my throat. Hang on just a sec. Okay. Basically, because we are being conceived as a side effect of fleshy indulgence, we often spend the first 6 or 8 weeks in the womb totally alone, without anybody seeing us, because nobody knows we're there. Until our mother misses a period or has some kind of sensation that indicates to her that she's pregnant, nobody knows that we're there, and so we're completely alone. And there's no interaction, and there's no human bonding. Even at that early stage, it's very, very important to make that bond and to make that connection and to let the baby know that we see the baby there. And of course, once we see the baby, the worst thing that we can possibly do is go, oh, shit.
Yeah, I do that a lot, but that's a good thing. Something I wanted to share came in from Legionnaire Mac. Just beautiful, beautiful being here. This is a quote from Joyce. And I love the way Mac talks. Anyway, this is a quote from Joyce. When the soul of man is born in this country, there are nets flung out to keep it from flying. You speak to me of nationality, religion, and language. I shall try to fly those nets. That was Joyce. And this is what we're doing now, is we're starting to experience our own flight. And the journey begins with the individual. And the flights that I see occurring every day transcend nationality, transcend wherever anyone was born, anywhere in this universe. Because what's happening now is you've got these beautiful fleeting essences, the ascends of spiritual being, consciousness, whatever you want to call it. You label it whatever way you want. I just call it, it's life. It's when I try to center on that beautiful consciousness thing, it's always fleeting. But what I'm seeing now are all these beautiful, fleeting, wonderful pieces of consciousness, the little sparks of the all-spark, all coming into this huge fireball. And it's engulfing this planet. And, it's like every forest fire, unfortunately, starts with one match. But this is one forest. I won't mind burning, because I've said it before. How many times have you missed the forest for the trees in your search for wood? So I just gave up on that, threw a match in and watched her go, and I watched this whole planet light up, and it's really neat. One other thing I do want to say. Sorry, Jeanice, you get me into these beautiful, deep realms that I love. These are my poetic realms that I love to live in. I feel like I'm writing a song right now. I just wanted to do a great big shout out to Lisa of Critical Mass Radio. Happy birthday. It's her birthday. It's so awesome. Anyway, and I'll say that again at the end of the show, of course, because Lisa's voice is the Critical Mass disclaimer that says, Kate, speak your fucking mind. So I say, okay, it's all great. What was the other thing I was going to say there? Oh, it doesn't matter. But yeah, I get so overwhelmed, especially when we get into this subject, Jeanice, knowing what I know, seeing what I see on a daily basis. That was the other thing. Rumor has it I might be going to talk somewhere in the flesh in a couple of months. And I'm thinking that I'm going to start doing that because I want to try to get out, and it's not easy for the situation I'm in as far as ID and whatnot because of the silly people that think you need pieces of paper. But I have one that will guarantee they're fraud every time, birth certificate. So I'm going to start doing that because there's nothing I want more than to be able to be somewhere with people that I already know and get a chance to actually put that hand out. That'll be both arms. It'll be a hug, guaranteed. That's just the way I fly, right? But
yay!
No, it's like hey, how's it going? I don't care. Well, see, I'm a walking three-way, so I can hug boys and girls. It doesn't matter to me. I don't give a shit. I love because I love, and no one. That's the gift of gifts. No one can ever take that from me. I get to love you because I can. And no holes barred, and no standards to live by. It's beautiful having no rules.
Do you know where you're planning on going, Kate?
I'm not going to let that out of the bag just yet, but it'll be somewhere on a Canada area. I prefer to call it I prefer to call it Turtle Island, but I used to get emails. Which Turtle Island? Turtle Island is actually the Noble Savage term, and I'm using Noble Savage because that is peaceful and free. That's what savage is. It's not, they degraded that word. They've destroyed so many beautiful words like anarchy and savage, and savage is peaceful and free. So yeah, I am a noble savage. I am noble, peaceful and free. That works for me. But anyway, yes, it'll be somewhere in Canada, quite a ways from where I am right now. So we'll be working that out, and I'm hoping to make some arrangements to possibly have a few other really cool people there that I'm just itching to meet as well. So there you go. Wow,
that sounds promising. I'm actually hoping to be on the West Coast at the end of this month for the template ceremonies.
All right.
Yeah, for people that are interested to reconnect their circuits to the original blueprint, I really recommend these ceremonies. They are happening Los Gatos, California. I think I got to fly into San Jose. So I've done ceremonies 1 through 6. There's 2 more that I need to do, and I'm really hoping that I will be able to get there for ceremonies 7 and 8, because I think they're very important, and I actually think they have had a profound influence, in addition to the Anastasia books, in terms of my understanding of the things that I share, about conception, gestation, and birth, because the way we begin life is, critically important to that we're going to live it. So it would be so beautiful if we could all have the best start, the most loving start, the most conscious start, and I think our lives would be exponentially beautiful.
Hugely, and maybe a little hint. It would be north of where you're going to be. So there you go. We'll leave it at that. I kind of keep a very low high profile. See what I mean? As above, so below. I am high profile, and listen. I've said it many times before. If there are no secrets on this planet or in this universe, this is the one mind consciousness, and you can't keep secrets. So belly up to the closet, boys and girls, and get your bones out, because those are the things that you need to confront. Hey, listen, I've been out of the closet for a while, and the best part about my closet, I get to pick either side. So there you go. And Tony got bumped off again, so I'm going to see if we got him there. Tony, you there?
Yes, I got sorted and got back on. Yep, that's cool.
Okay, and I'm keeping an eye on it back and forth. I'm just trying to keep up with Facebook and Skype and whatnot to make sure that people know that I do love them. I do my best, and that's probably why I run 17, 18 hours solid a day, and why I haven't been sleeping, because I've been trying to keep up with everybody. It's friggin' awesome. Thank you for making my life so difficult, because it means you love me and I love you. Perfect. Don't mind.
Awesome.
Go ahead, Jeanice.
I'm wondering why your travel is a secret.
Oh, let's just say I am definitely a being of intense interest. Have been for quite a while, and not that scares me. It doesn't at all. I laugh at it. No, the simple truth is, you know what? I've never been a center stager, and I've been on stage my whole friggin' life, and I hate it. So I just kind of, keep my. I'm kind of probably the weirdest Gemini you'll ever meet. No, I don't like. It's funny, when I played in bands in school, and by the way, that's another thing too. I will have guitar in hand, and guaranteed, if I know me, there will be lots of impromptu on and off stage slinging of the 6 strings. So I have been known to do that many times. But the thing is, center stage. I never really wanted it. I was really content playing in high school bands and sitting back, rhythm guitarist. I'm the kind of player that'll play the same 3 or 4 chords over and over and over again to make an exceptional lead player out of anybody, because I just love playing. And as it turned out, I hanging back in the band, and somebody put a mic in front of me one day, and can you sing some backup? And I said, yeah, sure, no problem. I can sing along with you, sure. And then I opened my face, and I ended up front row center, and I just it's always terrified me. I'm not really a spotlight grabber. Isn't that funny? It doesn't matter what I do in my life. It does not matter. The universe says, no. Kate, there you go. And I'm thinking, yeah, thanks. But that must be something I need to resolve within me. And that's okay. I mean, once I get there, I'm okay. But it's just, I always treated every show like an execution. And as soon as I'd go to walk up the steps, I always treated it like it was the gallows. And then I'd get into this beautiful headspace of, well, you're going to get hung. You might as well have fun, right? So, and that's what we did. There you go. There's Kate in a nutshell. So that's probably why I like to keep low profile.
It's interesting because I'm thinking to myself as you're talking, probably because I wasn't seen for 6 or 8 weeks, and also because I didn't have a father that looked on me and, you know, adored me or anything like that. As an adult, you know, I demanded to be seen, so I became a fire dancer. So I would be, you know, when I lived on Maui, I fire danced with a hula hoop. I had a hula hoop that lit up on fire, fire chains, fire staff, fire ropes, and I did this stuff naked. Outrageous, outrageous, outrageous. Demand attention.
So what you're saying, Jeanice, is, you know, you're a pretty hot chick.
Well,
I get it.
What I'm saying is, let me say this. I made the mistake for many years of trying to attract my partner with the charms of my body.
Right.
It was a big mistake. Because I did not attract the one who could meet me in the heart. On the contrary, I attracted ones that wanted to have sex with me. But that's something very, very different.
And that's a common mistake most people make. You know, they get caught up in that exterior illusion. And yeah, granted, I mean, there are certain physical attributes that people, you know, get attracted to. But the true love is what happens beyond that. And you know, for me, it's always been an auric energy around people. And you can always tell. It's just there's a good vibe and good energy. Like even having conversations with people, you get a very good sense. Well, I do anyway, of you know, the frequencies, because everything about you is in your voice. Everything you want to know about anybody is in their voice, and you got to pay attention, because the voice is the frequency. And that was one of the things too. Someone had asked me about me and my particular two-spirit nature, and would I ever, you know, get my voice surgically altered or whatever. And I said, no, I wouldn't. I made a promise to a friend a long time ago, Johnny Enigma, as a matter of fact. He said, you know, whatever you do, I don't care what you do beyond, you know, do what you need to do, but please don't ever change your voice. And that was due to music and stuff like that. And I made the promise that no, I would never do that. And that would be so plastic. I mean, there's attributes, physical attributes about me that are exactly who I am, and the voice, that's the soul. That one I will not alter.
Right before I came on the show tonight, I was participating in a webinar with a woman named Shari Edwards, who does voice frequency analysis to determine if we've been exposed to radiation, how the chemtrails are affecting us, what kind of vitamins we might be low in, what kind of minerals. All of this information can be conveyed through our voice. And I think that's amazing, you know? Well,
yeah, that's your voice. I mean, for those that have that quiet time during meditation, and you hear that beautiful high pitch, when you're in the silence of yourself, you will hear your own voice, which is that beautiful, all your own frequency that no one else has and no one else can hear. It's yours. Yeah, so for me, the transference of the soul energy, because regardless of how young or how old people are, there is always an inherent natural frequency that is you, that is contained within your voice. And yeah, when people are getting hammered with chemtrails and again, all of this stuff that we speak of can be dealt with in a twinkling of an eye with hermetics. It's you know, mind over matter, and it's about removing the doubt. But when we have what Tony was talking about earlier about the DNA and the 97% of it being turned off, all of that ties into and is in completely in your voice, and yeah, you will be able to. I do not doubt for 1 second. Your voice is what, who, why, and when you are, and it is the physical manifestation of in the beginning there was the word, and this is your spoken oath. This is your word. This is your frequency. So that. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. Actually, I'd be surprised the opposite.
I'm not sure where you want to go from here.
Oh, well, yeah, we still got. Oh, I could try the caller again, see if they want to, see if they have any questions or comments. And again, I invite everyone to call in, and Any night, and they know that. The call-in number is area code 661-467-2401. That's area code 661-467-2401. And you have a Skype button on your page that you're listening to on the computer. If the button isn't there, just refresh your page and just call in via Skype. So, speaking of area codes...
I do want to say that it's been really interesting preparing for a webinar, because I've always done teleclasses and radio shows. I've done a couple of TV shows, but I've never created a webinar before. And so turning my material into a webinar with pictures and videos, that's powerful. That's going to be able to convey... Wow, I just got feedback.
Oh, I just opened the caller line.
Okay.
Area code 661.
Hello, it's Rob.
Rob, if you're listening on your computer, we're getting feedback through your phone, so if you could walk away or turn your computer down.
Okay.
You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, is that better, Jeanice?
That's way better, thanks.
Okay, Rob, so what's on your mind, my friend?
Nothing, was just listening. It's easier to listen through Skype than it is for us, for here, and then on the radio page.
Oh yeah, I know that feeling. I actually called in to listen to a show the other night after my own with. I called in to listen to Santo and oh, we have a caller on the line, and it's like, oh, I hope they're not talking about me. I'm just calling in to listen, and of course I ended up talking. It was Diana White, and that's actually who I was talking to Jeanice about earlier, about doing a show with Diana on Thursday. So yeah, well, great to have you, Rob. I can leave your line open or mute you, whatever you want.
Well, you can just mute me.
Okay.
I mean, I'm just sitting here listening to her. What she's saying is like blowing my mind.
Isn't it great?
Yeah, I know. Kim just got home from work. She's going to have to listen to this later.
Oh, absolutely. No, it's great. Okay, well, I'll mute you. And
we'd love to know what's blowing your mind. Which part?
Which part?
How
everything starts at conception, and if your parents are screwed up, then it might be hard for you. Through your whole entire life. I've never even thought about it that way.
Yeah, but it's really, I'm glad that you're thinking about it now, and I hope that a lot more people are going to start thinking about it, because it's extremely important.
And I'm like, and I'm like, Kate, I'm sitting here thinking about my 3 kids. I'm like, wow, what the hell was I thinking about when I was doing this or doing that? And then if I screwed them up by doing what I was doing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, especially for the men, because we have a situation right now on our planet where men are, boys are introduced to pornography at 10 or 11 years old, maybe sometimes younger, especially because of the computers right now. And so what that does to the male psyche is extremely profound, and certainly influences what they're thinking about when they're having sex. And so if a man is thinking pornographically and a life gets created, that information, that pornographic information, is going to be in his sperm and is going into the creation of a child. And of course the child is going to have a great deal of confusion about what love is. And I think many of us do, because we have been created, right, in a moment of fleshy gratification. Sometimes there's pornographic thoughts, sometimes not. Sometimes, there's just straight out fleshy gratification. But either way, there's this lust-based energy around it, yes? And that influences us. It becomes hard for us to understand what then is love. The only thing we know of as love is fleshy gratification. We were made. That's the essence. Yeah. The essence of the energy in which we were made. I'm sorry, please talk. Yes.
That's all right. I thought you was done. Yeah, and that was all designed that way. I mean, they've done a number on us, like, talked about and everything else. But yeah, Kim just got home. She wants to know how we can fix it.
How do you fix it? Well, number one, what I think is so critically important is for the parents to recognize the trauma of their children and to acknowledge that they may have had an impact, a negative impact, on what's going on with their kids, and talk about it. If you're in a relationship with your kids where that's comfortable for you to do, you know, the most powerful thing, for example, if parents have circumcised their son and allowed for their son to be tortured that way, because circumcision is torture, it's genital torture and mutilation, the most healing thing for that boy is going to be for their parents to recognize it at some point and to say, my God, I'm so sorry. So in addition to being met, you know, having somebody meet you and see you, and see the trauma that you've experienced and how it's influenced your life, there also has to be, you know, some kind of a holistic tool that we can use to help move the trauma out of the nervous system and out of the cells. And so if there's trauma, prenatal trauma, I recommend Watsu therapy. You have to find therapists who work with prenatal and birth trauma and who are also hip to conception trauma, because there's certain modalities like Watsu, like cranial sacral therapy, like emotional freedom technique, or EFT, or I use Jinshin, Jinshin, which is a Japanese system of subtle energy medicine, and I have been doing self-care for about 8 years now. So it is, you know, in some part through Jinshin that I've been able to remember a lot of what had remained unconscious. You know, because we have these memories in our body. It's not, you know, it's in the form of sensation that the memories occurred. And so we often create experiences that bring up the same kind of sensations. And when the sensations come up, if we have a tool, first of all, we have a conscious understanding. Oh, okay, right now I am reliving my conception imprint. Okay? And we have a tool to move that out of the nervous system. These are the keys to resolution. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. That's cell memory, right? I mean, is that
yes.
basically the same thing, right? Cell memory.
Yeah, somatics.
Yes, cellular, somatic. Some people, yeah, it's imprinting. It's been imprinted into us through sensation. So it is cellular. I mean, it's in our organs. If we have a womb experience where when we were discovered, for example, 6 or 8 weeks down the road, our mother discovers that we are there, and if she says, oh, I'm so happy, you know, I'm pregnant, I can't wait to get to know you, you know, I'm so glad you're here, that's awesome. But if it's the opposite, if she goes, oh shit, you know, what am I going to do? Maybe I should have an abortion. Then we can have something called discovery shock, which gets lodged in our lungs. And so we might be smokers, you know, we might smoke to try to suck back the sensation, or have pot addictions. We might have chronic asthma or repetitive pneumonia or bronchitis or various things.
I've got all those.
Yeah, do you know about your, whether you were wanted or what might have happened to you at Discovery?
I'm sure that's probably what happened, what you said, the oh shit moment.
The oh shit moment. Yeah, it's happened to so many of us, and we have to understand that because we are so vulnerable and so little and so hypersensitive, it's the most sensitive time when we're in the womb. You know, the first sensation of relationship is that moment, because we haven't been seen until then. And then somebody sees us and goes, oh, what are you doing here? You know, like, get out. This is a really profound and deep pain. and also can influence how we experience relationship and whether or not we feel loved or lovable throughout our lives.
Yeah, it makes total sense. I got thinking about, I did some, backtracking, of course. My sister and I are 2 years apart, last 12 days. So I'm June 15, she's June 27. So she's Cancer, I'm Gemini, right there. So we actually have a good blending. She pulls in third decan Gemini, I pull in first decan Cancer, and we've always gotten along that way. But when I tracked it back, gestation, 9 months, lo and behold, it was around my mom's birthday, which is, I tracked it back to October 15th, based on standard gestation. Who knows whether I was early, late, whatever, or right on time, but it was same with my sister, so it was, generally within a couple of weeks of in and around my mom's birthday. So I thought, well, okay, that's got to be a positive thing. But I do remember my dad told me I wasn't that old either. I've been in my 20s or whatever, and the subject came up about kids, whatever, and that's when he very, very eloquently informed me that I was the result of an argument, and I'm thinking, oh, great, well, that explains the cigarettes and the cigars. All right. So there you go, just a little light, little light fact finding.
It would be wise. I'm getting that feedback again. We would be wise as a culture to actually mark our birth date at the moment of conception, because that's actually when our physical life begins. If we are marking our birthday as when we come out of the womb, we're missing, we're doing this repeatedly, the first 9 months of our life, which has incredible significance for the rest of our lives. It's like we're not understanding the spiritual dynamics at all. And if there's psychological dynamics, we're only marking the physical birth outside of our mother's womb when we enter into this dimension, from our mother's body. But we actually are coming in 9 months before we're born, quote unquote born. And that's really when our birthday is. That's really, we should be paying attention to the stars, what was happening at that moment when we were conceived, because that is when our life began. And everything from that point matters.
And I will also go to the one point. And let's take that whole 9 month window of the body being formed. You see, for me, I remember the day I was born from an exterior position, not interior. So for me, my resonance with it has always been the assumption of the body at birth, that the bodies get built and we wait for production, and of course there's I've got a whole show on this all just by this one concept, but for me it's absolutely critical, because the body with the somatics and all the cellular buildup, which is genetically and directly linked to mom in particular, because mom's growing the baby, and also with dad because of the DNA. But for me, it was always I've always seen the assumption at the birth, not while the body's being built.
Well,
that's not to say it's not living. That's not to say that at all. What it is I treat the body and me as two separate entities trying to get along, basically.
The interesting thing is that the body, is the organism that our mother is helping us create. Our mother helps us create the physical part of ourselves. Our father, while we're gestating, should be compiling the spiritual and moral program for his child. He should be thinking about his child, having a connection to source awareness. He should be paying deep attention to his child's spiritual and moral development while his child is in the womb. In that sense, the father has a more important role even than the mother. And if the father is not fulfilling that role, which he almost never is, because there's zero conversation going on about the father's role, right, during conception and gestation and birth. It's all about the mother and the mother producing this physical body. And even though if she's had tremendous trauma, she should be happy that the baby's physical body got born, even though his soul may have totally disassociated because of all the trauma. Okay, there's more to us than the physical body. And fathers have an incredibly important role to play, which needs to be addressed. I have a 3-part series that I teach on this very topic, on the father's role, preconception through the earliest beginnings, the first few years of life.
Well, let's touch on again, I want to bring it up again, with the webinars and what's coming up in the very near future and how people can get a hold of you to get these. It's 2 introductory courses. And they're, of course, free on the webinar that occur on April 11th and April 18th. So we'll make sure I'll get all the links out to everyone that's in my contacts as soon as I have them, and that's not a problem there whatsoever. But let's maybe talk about that for a minute or so, because I did want to touch on this at least a few times, so that way people can get in touch with you and get really involved. Because I know this is a critically important subject, and I know there is a lot of parents out there, I'm one of them, that is intentionally interested in finding out how we can make not only our own lives better, but to correct some things that may not have went as well as we could have made them go, so that we can build on that and grow from there.
Absolutely.
So I'm sorry, do you want to talk, Tony?
Yeah, I was just saying, absolutely. We've posted the links on multiple occasions throughout the chat room for guys, so there's plenty of links out there, and I'll get them to you now.
Thank you so much. Perfect. Then we'll get them out on through Facebook and all the different groups that I'm involved in, and I would ask that those that get the links to please forward them to their groups so that we get this out to as many people as possible. The webinar can handle up to 1,000 people, and it's my intention to make sure that we have people unable to get in. Not that I don't want you to get in, but this is so that we can really start educating and getting people gathering together en masse. And this is how we do this, guys. We do this together. End of story. There is no other way we can do this, and we can stand individual all day long, but until we pull our shit together and stand shoulder to shoulder and create, coined a new phrase today, we become the Great Wall of Gaia. That's the impassable, and that's what we have to become. And we are so incredibly big and growing exponentially right now. It's just mind-boggling.
So if people would like to register for the webinars, I invite you to go to my website at birthofanewearth.com. That's birthofanewearth.com. And I think it's the first tab on the right that'll bring you right to the links for you to register for the free webinars. And if you can't be physically present for the webinars, I believe they're going to be recorded. And so everybody that registers will receive the recording, and you'll have the information at your disposal forever. And we are going to be going deep into the information about sexuality, about haphazard conception, about conscious conception, also about masculinity and femininity as they are defined in Western culture. So the name of the webinar is actually Gender and Sexuality in the Western World. What's love got to do with it? So we're going to be talking about the keys to human love, to creating children who are conceived and gestated and birthed and parented in love, and who will therefore have their pristine capacities intact, because I truly believe it is these children who are brought forth by conscious parents wanting to do great things for the planet that will be able to shift what's going on this planet. Those of us who are alive right now, who are born of unconscious parents, we are certainly looking like we're having a hard time changing this up. And things appear to be escalating. Even though, what you're saying, Kate, that we're all coming together, people are waking up, shifting things, I think having these children would enable the shift to happen much more quickly. So one of the greatest gifts that we can do is to get conscious of this, to help our children heal who've already been born, to help them prepare to bring children in the most conscious way. And what I was saying before about fathers, if fathers are not compiling the spiritual and moral program for their children while their children are in the womb, that means that the dark forces can have an influence on their spiritual program. And so we have a situation with religion on our planet. And is it okay if I just come right out and say what I think about this?
Oh, here's our latest motto, fuck the Romans. That help? Say what you need to say, Jeanice. This is how we fly here. No bullshit. Get it done. Get it out there. Let's get this Akashic record uploaded properly for a change. Okay,
so we know that the Judeo-Christian God, the one who is, in my opinion, a demonic imposter masquerading as God, the one in the Bible, who's angry, jealous, vengeful, warrior, misogynist, the one who demands that people cut off a piece of their son's penis in order to create a covenant with him. That's not the real creator, guys. Because the real creator is the one that actually put the foreskin on the penis. And the real creator put the foreskin on the penis because the foreskin is intended, when it meets the vaginal wall, to produce the neurochemicals of love and bonding in the male body. And without the foreskin, the neurochemicals of love and bonding are going to be less likely to be released through the brain. So the real God created the foreskin so that deep love and bonding could occur. The demonic imposter God demands that you cut off the foreskin so that love will be undermined. And I'm going to further say that there are serious satanic-based elements in the Christian tradition, because what Christianity has done is it has made human sacrifice seem normal. The normalization of human sacrifice, so that people are wearing symbols of human sacrifice around their neck and putting them over their beds and hanging them in their windows. And so they have people going to Mass. This is a black Mass within which people are drinking the blood and eating the body parts of a sacrificed human being, which is exactly what is involved in a satanic ritual. And so if people understood how the dark forces have corrupted our understanding of the real creator, and this is purposeful, and this is intentional, and it is malevolent. It is a malevolent attempt to confuse our understanding of the loving force behind creation, and to get us so corrupted that we become willing to have our sons genitally tortured and mutilated in order to create a covenant with this entity. So, these are the programs that our infants are receiving while they're in the womb. Because if their fathers have not broken the occult spells, their children will be programmed with those spells as well. And that is not the kind of program we want our kids to have. As I was talking about very early in the show, right, the programming that would be ideal would be to be wanted, for two parents to be bringing their bodies together in love to call forth life, for that baby to be gestated in a womb where it's wanted, where it's loved, and where the father has a direct connection to source and is envisioning his child having a deep understanding of creation and being able to communicate directly with the divine mind. That he should be seeing his child in communion with every tree and every blade of grass. That that child could no sooner hurt itself than it could hurt a bug. If you're giving birth to a child that would hurt an animal or an insect or any living thing, then you've done something wrong. You've made a mistake. And you've corrupted the child and turned it into something it was never intended to be, based on the original creation. Because a human being that has a connection to the energy of love could never hurt another living thing. There's no way a human being connected to the energy of love could consume a dead animal. It would not be possible. It would not be thinkable. And so if we ourselves are consuming dead animals, then we are still a part of the occult programming, you see. And if we want to bring forth a life that is free from these occult programs, then we ourselves have to break free. And this is incredibly important for the fathers, because the fathers, it's like the fathers are giving birth to the second self. You know, there's the physical self that gets birthed through all the trauma, and then the parents are told, you know, be happy that you have a healthy baby. And like I said, it doesn't matter if that baby's soul has had to depart because of the intensity of the trauma, if disassociation has happened. But it does matter. It does matter if the soul is in the body. You see, it does matter if that being has been corrupted. And it matters so much because the ones who have been corrupted are the ones in the airplanes with the Air Force spraying us every day with the chemtrails. Because they're not connected to their soul, otherwise they could never do that. It would be unthinkable. It would be impossible. The only way that these things are happening is through the corruption of the human soul.
I do have a question that came in from Kat. Good question as well, and definitely get back. We're right in the ballpark here. She's got a 2.5-year-old son, and she was looking for information on the skin not retracting back all the way in a 2.5-year-old, and never retract the foreskin. It's not supposed to retract. Maybe till he's 10. Yeah. Okay, it's something that will naturally retract. Never force it. Never, ever, ever force it, because you're going to cause wounding. Even though the medical profession is telling you to do that, it's not correct. Yeah, just it's when you start looking at the human body, especially in a 2.5-year-old, and there's a great big physiological difference between a 2.5-year-old and a 10-year-old, and absolutely, my first reaction to that is, well, it's normal. You know, people need to understand, to put it in perspective with males and females, the foreskin is actually the clitoral hood or labia, and that's if you want to put it in retrospect, when you circumcise your male son, of course, can't be a female son, but whatever, I guess, yeah, it could be, huh? Anyway, you know, see, it's always kind of a weird subject for me because I speak from both sides, right? So. You know, when you start looking at it, would you go out of your way at your daughter's, you know, say, what is it, 9 days they do it with in the Judeo. And it's something else just to add to the Bible thing that you were talking about. Yeah, what we're dealing with here are the principalities that have absolutely taken that book and made it literal. It is that book itself has got all the truths contained within it, but the way it is written in metaphorical, allegorical, if it's taken literal, it is a perfect tool of the dark principalities, as long as they can get people to believe that is the literal works. But getting back to the physiology, would you take your daughter, to the hospital and have her labia removed? That's exactly what you're doing to the son.
In the case of the Jewish tradition, right, there are families that hire rabbis to cut off foreskin, and the rabbis then suck the blood of the mutilated penis. We've had 11 babies in New York contract herpes from the rabbis who are sucking the blood off of the mutilated penis. 2 of the babies have died. 2 of them ended up with permanent brain damage. This is religion. I'm not a fan of the Bible. I know people talk about, I see a lot of evil in the Bible. Okay. Extreme evil, including the command that women should suffer in childbirth, because that is not at all part of the Creator's plan. We do not see other species suffering in childbirth unless they're in captivity, which we are. Okay, but the Creator is all about the regeneration and the bringing forth of life. Exquisite, beautiful, deeply feeling, deeply, unbelievably beautiful life. It would not serve the Creator to make the bringing forth of life painful for any creature. But it does serve the demonic imposter God of the Bible to insist that it should be painful. And I'm going to say it again, that birth is painful because the parents are taking an erroneous psychological and spiritual approach to the way that they are creating life. It is never, ever going to be easy to bring forth a child that you do not want. Don't ever expect the birth to go with ease if you don't want that baby. And there's much more to it, because what they're doing to us in hospitals is deliberately inflicting trauma on us, because trauma-based mind control, the techniques of trauma-based mind control mirror the protocols of hospital birth. So the people who are creating hospital birth know how to mutate us. They know how to make our brains dysfunctional. They know how to severely traumatize us. And if you end up going deeper into the work with me, I'll take it apart piece by piece so you can see what they're doing to us and how, and what this has done to our species, to our children, to our families, to our entire civilization. So it's very, very deep, and we can get a handle on it by getting a handle on our sexuality and creating life in a conscious way, and approaching our children who have been harmed and saying, I see how you've been harmed. I'm sorry. I never wanted to hurt you.
And that's when you come to terms with it, and that's what it's all about. That's where healing begins. We've only got about 3.5 minutes left here, Jeanice, and I think it's absolutely critical we get these links out again. I've already been posting on Facebook. I would urge everyone that getting the link to pass it along. And yes, I got the link the other day, and I see so much in a day. So it's been out a couple of times already, but it's going to keep going. So please pass it along, everyone. As soon as you get it, please share the link. And again, Jeanice, just a quick overview. Before you do that, let me do my thank you. So if we go past the clock, I've done that and I feel better. Great big thank you to Paul and radio.co.uk. Thank you guys so much for making it possible for us to do what we do every single night of the week. And without them, you wouldn't have us doing what we're doing right now. And again, a great big happy birthday out to Lisa. And we love you. We love all of you. So on that note, Jeanice, wrap it up with the links and what you want to finish off with.
Please go to my website at birthofanewearth.com. That's birthofanewearth.com. You'll see a section on the right where it says 2 free webinars. Those webinars are going to be on the topic of gender and sexuality in the Western world. What's love got to do with it? So we're going to be talking about human sexuality. We're going to be talking about human relationships. We're going to be talking about human love. We're going to be talking about haphazard conception versus conscious conception. And we're going to be talking about the keys to identifying love, creating love and preserving love in our families. So what we're going to be learning in these 2 webinars is critical for human happiness and well-being, because there's nothing more important than human love. So that's why I'm doing those 2 about human love and how we can undo the occult influences around that have manipulated our sexuality, manipulated how we conceive kids, manipulated how we gestate and birth them, so that we can get our power back and that we can have kids who are intact, who are whole, who are loved, and who can be happy and have happy lives filled with love. That's what it's all about. So birthofanewearth.com. If you want more information about me, you can also go to my blog at birthofanewearth.blogspot.com. My blog is filled with good stuff. So check out my website, check out my blog. And I think that's it for me.
Yeah. It's fun when you're talking and 60 seconds comes in and it just derails your whole thought. I hate it. and I keep forgetting when I bring people into the host call, they get to hear all the shit I get to hear, and it's like, see, isn't it fun? Anyway, it's good. It's important to get the information out. More importantly, guys, it's information that needs to be assimilated and brought into the consciousness where we can change this world together. We do this together. Tony, final comments?
Yep. Again, it's a Syncrenicity webinar, so if you can get yourselves over to syncrenicity.com and just get in touch with us if you know people that want to do more webinars or want to join this one. Either way, come on over to Syncrenicity and we'll give you the stuff that you need to know, guys. Thanks for listening.
Yes, thank you all for listening. We love you more than you know. Okay, looks like we just ran out of clock there, guys. Yeah, we did. Great effort all around. Rob and Kim, thank you so much for your comments. Greatly appreciate it.
Yeah.
This is what we need to do. We need to get people involved because it's one thing for us to do the talking. It's something completely more powerful when listeners call in because that is the voice.
I agree.
So that's why, short of begging, it's all good. We get a lot of people calling in. So
please, somebody call in.
Yeah. What I find actually is people say, we don't need to call in because you're telling us everything we need to know. So, well, thanks. To be confirmed once in a while other than a post would be nice to hear your voice, but it's all good. Anyway, make sure I'll get you, I've given you Diane's contact for Skype, and I'll give her a little heads up. I know she's needing a guest for Thursday night. Let me just. Hey.
And who is she? What's she?
She's a radio host.
Okay.
It is Diana. I got it right the first time. I hate when I correct myself. Anyway, she had just asked the show. There was 2 people that she had for Thursday, and she hasn't heard back from either of them. Of course, it's always fun, 2 days before the show, right? The show is 2 hours from 8 to 10 Central. What time zone are you in?
I'm in New York.
Oh, so you're Eastern. Okay, yeah. So Eastern time zone. So that would be if it's Central time. Yeah, 9 to 11 p.m.
On Thursday.
On Thursday. So the forum is mostly manifesting as spiritual growth. So I think you cover both of those very well. And so anyway, I've given you the contact, and I've let her know. Also, I gave you Laura and Woolridge's contact as well. She will be of vital importance to you in terms of medical research that she has done, things that she has uncovered in her work that ties in exactly with what you're doing in the ways of healing a lot of this. Because based on the damage brain damage especially, growth and what have you. You've got missing peptides and other sorts of, PTSD and all these other things that come into play that have literally been altered physically that can be corrected, and she has those tools. So
I'd love to talk with her. Right on. Which one was this?
That's Laura Ann Woldridge.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I gave you. She actually tagged me to say, get her my information. So yeah. Well, here, this is just what she posted here. These people cannot feel love, and it is all I have felt for 2 years. Where was it? She had made a point of it. So it's about replacing the peptides, or you'll never feel at home. So she says she'll speak to you soon, or get to Peru, Ayahuascaville. Anyway, because that is exactly the disease, and she has the keys to set that free.
Sweet.
Yeah, you guys will get along. Just peachy, promise. I talk to her every day. I talk to her every day. She's brilliant, beyond brilliant. So.
Well, thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate the opportunity to get the word out.
Yeah, and not a problem. We'll be pumping it right up until the 11th, and again prior to the 18th. So maybe during between the 11th and 18th, we can get you back on, even for an hour or whatever.
Great. Okay.
Just to do like kind of a synopsis of what the first webinar was, and push for the second. Not that I think you're going to have to, but at least that way get the word out to people, because this is information that people desperately need. This is core information. It gets right to the nitty gritty, and I can't thank you enough. Thank you so much for coming on again.
Kate?
Absolutely.
Kate?
Yeah.
Hey, this is Kim, Rob's wife.
Yeah, I kind of figured. There's only one other being in the call, and that would be you guys.
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you excellent. Is that better?
Okay. Can I just say thank you so much to Jeanice?
You just did?
All her
I'm
information
receiving your
has
gratitude.
resonated with me, and these are things that I just know to be true. And I just wanted to share a little something. About 10 or 15 years ago, I had a dream where a being came to me and said, it's not about you, it's not about your kids, it's about your kids' kids. And it just hit me, what you're doing, and I'm going to heal my kids so that they can have conscious, loving children.
This is what it's all about, sister. Thank you.
Yay.
Yeah, I've been calling this Operation Chitty Chitty Bang Bang for a while. It's time to save our kids.
Yep.
And their kids. So it's not about us anymore. And there we found it, the unconditional, get her done kind of love. That's where we need to be. That's going home, baby.
Yep, I love it. Now I got to talk to my boys about their foreskins.
Yeah, and just let them know. And I had mentioned, I think you heard, as far as what the foreskin represents. It's a clitoral hood. It's labia. So now, if you take it in context of the female, then it becomes an entirely more painful thing, doesn't it?
Oh, unbelievable.
And as I was saying to Kat there, I have personal experience with it, and one of the things that I'm grateful for, that when I finally get myself sorted out, corrected, I am very grateful I still have my clitoral hood and labia intact. Yep. I'm one of the very, very lucky ones in so many ways. My gratitude.
Big time.
Well, when I was in college, I took a human sexuality course, and in the book it was talking about the female mutilation that goes on, and I can't even remember what country it was, but
India.
That has stuck with me. Oh my God!
That was India. They circumcise the girls there too, basically removing the clitoris so that they can't enjoy sex.
Well, that's partially how circumcision came into force also, to try to stop masturbation. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's, again, when you look at the principalities that have been at work here, here we are mutilating our children and each other, for what? Because some guy shaking a bag full of bones and whatever. Are you kidding me? But here we have reached outside of kindergarten finally, and we're reaching into a deeper aspect of our consciousness where love is finally being able to shine. Where people aren't afraid of expressing. Like, you go back to the Victorian and Edwardian times, don't show your ankles, girls, right? To now, basically, it's like flash it all, which is quite a diametrically opposed. We have, full swing, but we're getting rid of the illusion of the physical, and and as much we all live in a physical world, that's fine, but we need to master it. And that's where we're at. That's where love comes in. And what you've been talking about tonight, Jeanice, is particularly important in that whole bonding aspect. And I'm going to go right back to looking in my own daughter's eyes. And there's nothing can ever replace that feeling. And that knowingness that I know very, very many people have actually missed. And I'm just grateful that I didn't, that I was one of the lucky ones that saw it.
Oh, God bless you. God, you are blessed. You have your foreskin. You had a home birth. Your daughter had a home birth. I mean, totally blessed. I've got to go because I've got to go to the bathroom. I've got 2 other people that want to have a conversation with me.
Okay.
But I want to thank you again, Kate, Tony. Thank you. And what's the lady's name on the phone?
Kim and Rob.
Oh, Kim and Rob. Yes. Thank you guys too so much.
No problem. And Diana just tagged me. There you go. So if you can tag her, send her a contact, I'll let her know that you'll be contacting her, and we'll call that. Thank you, everybody, so much for listening.
Okay. Good night, you guys.
Take care. Love to all.
Love to you.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Good night.
God bless.